Welcome back, everybody. It seems more and more supporters are leaving Carmelo Anthony because of Dominic Alexander. Fired back at scammer allegations 4 days ago. And more are happening here, man. These people are getting more and more desperate because they know their son is going to go to jail and they just don't want to fucking face reality. So let's go ahead and get into the video, shall we? Enjoy.
Conferences. By the way he types his messages on Twitter, we all knew that this man was a moron, which is why it really makes me itch on the side of my brain why the Anthony family decided to use him. Maybe they're morons too, okay? But even though I feel that this man is quite stupid, I didn't think he was this stupid. Because the other day, as many of you may know, Sarah Fields has been going on a rampage, uncovering all types of information about Dominic Alexander, including the fact that he's using a security team that's not a security team. Now, we're not going to go through the expose that she's been running on her side because we've covered it enough. But lo and behold, out of all this commotion, all this turmoil, people cutting ties from Next Generation Action, people saying that they don't know them and that they don't condone that, Dominic Alexander decides to respond. And he responds with a whole bunch of fucking nothing, bro. With a whole bunch of nothing. But that's what he does. And he's made money off of talking about a whole bunch of nothing. So I wouldn't put him past him to think that he could weasel his way out of this one. Let's check this out because he just posted this a couple of hours ago as of the time recording this. So in good con man fashion, the minister runs over to Twitter and tries to defend himself. And while he's defending himself, he also plugs his alternate account to try to make some extra coin. This man is a grifter from top to bottom. I kid you not. But anyways, he posts on his main account, before he plugs his other one, this lady can file whatever complaint she wants to. She can file a complaint with the President of the United States of America. I wouldn't give a shit. I'm so glad that I'm living rent-free in her head every day. Sir, I will say this. It's her job to cover the news. You're not living rent-free in her head. She is actively destroying everything you built in your head. That's what's happening. This shit is crazy. But anyways, so he gives us a link to his Next Generation Action network, and I couldn't find it without the link. So I don't know if he has it private or if it's just really buried in the Twitter algorithm, but it was really hard to find this piece of shit Next Generation Action network, and he had a lot to say. And I think he had so much to say because he's starting to lose connections to certain people because they're now seeing the DPS report that Sarah Fields is parading around the internet. Oh, he doesn't like that. So let's see what he had to say. And of course, he had to find the most unflattering pictures of her. It's hilarious. He says, the Next Generation Action Network is aware of the statements and social media commentary being circulated by an individual named Sarah J. Fields. Let us be clear. Oh, Lord Jesus. Who is writing these things for this man? It's got to be himself, because let me be clear is this man's catchphrase of the year, bro. Let me be clear. Like Jesus, you're crystal, bro. At this point, you're crystal clear. No obstruction. Lack of vocab, in my opinion. Anyway, let me be clear. Our organization will never engage in back and forth with individuals whose pattern of behavior reflects racism, misinformation, and personal attacks designed to undermine the work of the human and civil rights organization. And that's exactly how he talks. If you think I'm exaggerating, go look up a Dominic Alexander clip. And another thing that really spells bullshit to me about Dominic Alexander in this response is that he's saying that he's not going to engage in back and forth with her as he engages in back and forth. When someone says, man, I'm not going to go back and forth with you, when you tell them like, oh, show me the receipts that you didn't go there. Man, I'm not going to go back and forth with your ass. Man, you're just trying to argue. I'm not going back and forth. That shows the person is trying to bow out because they don't have anything to go back and forth with. I'm not about to go back and forth with you because you don't have nothing to do so with. Pay attention to how he's saying this. But anyways, let's get through this nonsense real quick. He continues. We first became aware of this individual during the early stages of Carmelo Anthony's case when she began inserting herself into public narratives surrounding the matter. Since that time, she has continued attempting to spread false claims, including circulating what she alleges to be a letter on social media. Our organization has no knowledge of such Our organization has no knowledge of such document, and to date, we have not been contacted by any law enforcement agency regarding any investigation into the Next Generation Action Network. And I will say, this whole Next Generation Action Network profile disappeared for a point of time, and then it reappeared with a slightly different logo as like the thumbnail thing for his account. Something happened that spooked Dominique Alexander to where he put his head underneath the sand and then reemerged, okay? Don't tell us that that's not because of Sarah. Oh, no, no law enforcement has contacted me yet. Man, listen, all I would say is watch your back and make sure your paperwork is real good with your security team. You know what I mean? I don't think the investigators are going to tell you what their next move is if they are investigating you, Sir Alexander. Minister. Let's continue though. This guy is a fucking joke. Nagin operates with integrity and transparency. When our organization or our clients require security services for events or sensitive situations, we contract with professional security providers, as is standard practice for organizations operating in public spaces. Well, that would make a lot of sense, Minister Alexander. That would make a lot of sense. But at the same time, you have Adagon Threat, the felon, walking around with weapons and what's not. So what do you say to that? You're contracting with legitimate security services? Listen, he's responding, but he's not responding. He's saying stuff, but he's just making noise. He doesn't have anything to refute this. We've said this from months ago. Provide the paperwork. You're always chirping on Twitter, on X. Provide the paperwork to all the security people that you had that day. Then I have to make a video about that. Well, guys, I have to eat my words. See, they actually were licensed and they were good to go, fam. That was my fault. Non-biased reporting. I'll be right there tomorrow reporting it. He's never going to do it because he doesn't have it. No member of our internal staff presents themselves as law enforcement or security personnel unless it is a volunteer capacity during the critical incident where immediate community safety is involved. What does that mean? I had to drop the little accent for a second. He said, no member of our internal staff presents themselves as law enforcement or security personnel unless it is in a voluntary capacity during critical incident where immediate community safety is involved. So basically, if you feel as though the community needs your saving, right? It's kind of a little shaky out here. We don't got no police. We could therefore just lie and call ourselves police officers and security guards. Again, it doesn't fucking make sense, Minister Dominique. Man, he's putting a bad rep on the ministers out there. At this point, they're all con artists in my eyes. Con artists. Every minister out there, con artists. That's how I'm feeling. Again, I have to throw that little extra in there and say, not all of them are like that. I'm sure there aren't, but most of them are. Let's continue though, because this shit gets more and more outrageous as you read it. And this is some shit he just posted. I know he wants to pull this shit down. Our organization's mission has always been rooted in advocacy, justice, and the protection of the human and civil rights. If Miss Fields wishes to continue filing complaints or spreading documents across social media, she is free to do so. We will give her all the papers she needs to file whatever she wants. It will not deter our organization, and it will not distract us from the work that matters. What a fucking joke, bro. This man is literally going back and forth with this woman while saying he's not going to go back and forth with her. And mark my words, this is not the last of Dominique. You could tell she got under his skin with this one. This one got to him. He don't like it. He no like it. He continues, and then he has some flattering photos of Sarah Fields at the bottom. The Next Generation Action Network will not stop our mission of standing up for justice for all people, regardless of race, color, creed, or sexual orientation. At this moment in America, we are at the crossroads. We're at the crossroads, folks. Come on. I am Martin Luther King reincarnated. We are at the crossroad. Everybody come together and love one another. Boy, you're never gonna have a fraction of the influence of real people who do this shit, of real advocates and real, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Let's just call them advocates. I can't think of the word. I drew a blank. You're never gonna come close to any of them. I'm sorry. We're not gonna read about you in any books. Nobody's gonna write an essay about Dominique Alexander in middle school. It's not finna happen. So you could drop that whole Martin Luther King shit out the door. It's not gonna happen for you. Anyways, let's finish this because it's pissing me off. At this moment in America, we are at a crossroads where some believe their attacks, opinions, or social media commentary will somehow derail movements that fight for justice and equality. Let us be clear. Fucking idiot always saying that shit. Let us be clear. We do not give a damn about the noise when it comes from those attempting to discredit our work through racism and bad faith. Our focus remains where it always has been, protecting our communities, defending human rights, and continuing to fight for justice. No individual, no smear campaign, and no amount of misinformation will ever stop that mission. Man, he really went to college for bullshitonomics, I promise you. Bullshitonomics, he aced that course like a goddamn, like teacher's pet. He really was valedictorian for bullshitonomics. And you have some people, some doofuses out there, they'll eat it all up like little Skittles. Ooh, Dominique, Dominique, we believe in you, Dom. People are gonna eat that stupid shit up real quick. Don't be one of them. Do not be one of them. Oh my God, don't be one of them. And one more thing. I was about to end the video until I remembered that Dominique Alexander had posted something really intimate and loving on his ex account, and I felt like, why not just share that with the rest of the world? Because we know that this guy is a wonderful, loving man who doesn't put his hands on his spouse or his children. We know he doesn't do anything horrible like that, you know. We know that. We know he hasn't been, you know, in the past sent to jail for like 5 years for shaking babies and smacking his wife around. We know that he's not that type of person. So I want to show you something he posted, right? Obviously, out of respect for the child, I'm going to blur the child's face. But I just want to show you something he posted that kind of made me a little sick. A little bit. It says, "Today you turn 2. This picture takes me back to the very first moment I met you. And from that instant, my heart was forever yours. You have been nothing but pure joy in my life. Your smile, your laughter, your spirit." I'm not even going to read the rest of it. Ew. That's how I feel about this. Normally, it would be like an awe moment, right? He posts a picture holding a 2-year-old baby on his lap. And if you were just a regular person passing by, you would say, wow, look at that father and his daughter. That's so sweet. But I can't see it that way. And I'll never be able to see it that way. Because all I see when he posts a picture of him and a 2-year-old is the other 2-year-old that he was shaking vigorously. And a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's just hearsay. You're just talking on that man's name." Nope. Let's go back to an article that covered this a little while ago. This was years ago. This was back in 2019, right? An article covered Dominique Alexander, and they were talking about him beating the shit out of his wife or his girlfriend at the time or whatever. But during that coverage, they brought up his past with shaking some babies. Let's check this out. I'm just going to read a quick snippet. So this article is from Fox 4, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. They talk about the aggravated assault charge. I believe he beat that charge. It was dropped, and I'm pretty sure he just had more money to extend it long enough. But anyways, they're talking about how an assault charge was dropped, and they go down to the bottom, and it says Alexander had previous run-ins with the law. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. So this is sentencing. This is, you've been convicted, you've been sentenced, it's over. You're doing your time. So this is not if, but, or maybe. This is fact. So we don't have to say allegedly on the channel here. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for an incident where a 2-year-old child was shaken. He only served a handful of days, though, because he was given time served. Other convictions included theft of a vehicle, check forgery, evading arrest, and filing a false police report. Holy shit. Holy shit. You get what I'm saying, right? This is not a good guy. I don't know if him posting that picture was just rage bait, him trying to troll the people, and he's like, "Oh, you turned 2 today, you know about my past." I don't know what that picture was about, but I just found that really fucking odd. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Anyways, folks, I love y'all, man. I'm gonna see you guys real soon. Stay inside, stay safe. You already know the vibes, man. You know the vibes. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hype the video.